What's up, guys? It's Grady. I have not been on this channel in a long time. I posted a video a few months ago, actually, of me playing a song about being a music critic. If you want to check that out, it was meant to be sort of a meta experiment in songwriting and producing something, even though I review things. But haven't made videos on this channel in a while. I moved houses. The lighting in my new room sucks. I hate having a skylight right here and no other natural light that's kind of front lighting you. You just get this like weird from the top side light. And then the computer I use to edit videos is actually my work computer, so that lives over at my office. And I don't know, there was just a bunch of reasons why it didn't make sense. No, there aren't. I was being lazy, but I really wanted to get back on YouTube and make some more videos, so I figured I would do that this afternoon. I found out I had the day off from work. I did not know that, and I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to film this afternoon. So today I want to talk about this Kacey Musgraves album, Golden Hour, which if you're a follower on country Twitter or like the blogosphere or the music scene at all, which you probably are if you're here, you know that this has been one of, if not the most talked about country release in the last year. Kacey Musgraves is definitely a critic's darling and sort of a media favorite, and so you've seen this album talked about a lot, which kind of tends to inflate opinions higher than they need to be inflated, and people start to get this side or that side on, is she too country, is she not country enough, is she trying to frame herself as an outsider, or is she like part of the traditionalist movement? And that's sort of annoying around like the release of a record. Kyle over at Saving Country Music, he kind of wrote about that in like this piece about the media making a mockery of this release in kind of overpraising it when they don't usually pay any attention to country. And I think it's a pretty fair piece. There's a few writers in there where I'm like, hey, I like that writer, but I get what he's saying completely. So I actually was one of the people that got to write a review of this album. I haven't done much written reviews this past year, but I did one for Taste of Country, a site that I'd never written for before. They were really generous and offered me a good rate, and I reviewed the record for them, and pretty much everything I wanted to say about Kacey Musgraves' new record I said over there. So I'll put a link in the description, and you should check out that review. But my basic thesis in it is that people love to focus on the kind of sassier, like sort of almost like a little like bitchy or glamorous, like drag queen kind of qualities of Kacey Musgraves, and she invites some of that, but I think it's just like, it's really a misread of her, and it kind of tokenizes her in a really weird way, where I think Kacey Musgraves has always been much more of a bridge builder, much more of someone that can be universally enjoyed by fans that prefer pop, or fans that prefer country, or fans that are traditional, or fans that want new experimentation. And she's very libertarian in her sort of messaging. Like, literally, Follow Your Arrow, I know that gets claimed as some sort of like political activist song. You can disagree with that song and still like believe the mantra of doing what you want and following your arrow. So I think Golden Hour is a great representation of kind of my read of Kacey Musgraves, which is she's someone that can be universally enjoyed, and I think that this album is really, really indicative of that. So Golden Hour, let's jump into it a little bit. It's her fourth LP. It comes after two albums, and Pageant Material, her second album, was my #1 album on my 2015 list in The Guardian. Then her third album, Christmas album, extremely underrated. A very Kacey Christmas. It's super good. And Golden Hour is her fourth release. Now, I think it's probably her most cohesive sonic album. I actually don't like it as much as Pageant Material. I think that's like a little snappier, has a little more punch in the lyrics. It's kind of the same way that I think Red by Taylor Swift is a better album than 1989, even if I can acknowledge that 1989 as an album is a more cohesive album. Red just kind of had a little more, I don't know, je ne sais quoi. Like that little bit of punch and that specificity in the words and that variety in the musical sounds. Getting back to Golden Hour, it is much more of a smooth, easy listening, mid-tempo, sometimes kind of sleepy record, but there's something really beautiful and gentle and ethereal in it. I mean, there's lots of natural imagery, and there's lots of sort of warm, romantic love songs. We're listening to like one of the only non-love songs on here right now called Space Cowboy, which I think is like the track of the album. Yeah, I think it is the best song on this whole record. And given some of the kind of prismatic imagery on this, and words like chrysalis, and talking about sort of rainbows and the kind of psychedelics of Oh What a World. You're expecting Space Cowboy to be more playful, so when it's really this plain breakup song, and it's not about space or anything silly like that, it's a fun surprise in the context of the album. I feel like I'm being all over the place. Let me get a little more granular. The first two songs that came out from this album, Butterflies and Space Cowboy, I've already talked about. I think they're like pretty indicative of the record as a whole. It's gentle, it's sweet, and I think a lot of that's because Kacey got married this past October to this songwriter named Rustin Kelly, whose EP Halloween I've been super into in the past year. I think it's so good. That song Black Magic is a knockout to me. So check him out if you haven't. But I think those songs offer like a pretty good window into this project. It feels very 1970s Fleetwood Mac, Dolly Parton-ish to me. There's not the sort of like elements of Texas swing and kind of high noon cactus-filled sounds that you would have heard on Pageant Material, and not that Hawaiian sound either that you kind of got on A Very Kacey Christmas, especially on Mele Kalikimaka. But this is going to have like a little more of a pop influence. She worked with the Silver Seas, these kind of ambient producers that sort of make everything feel like it's almost, I don't know how to describe the music, almost like if you saw water reflecting on the ceiling of a sea cave or something, that kind of shifting colors, and there's a lot of pedal steel that adds this kind of woo woo woo, like angelic, ghostly kind of quality to it. I love the final track on this album, Rainbow. I think this is going to be a classic lyric for Kacey. It's about someone that's determined to kind of stay stuck in their own depression, in their own moping, whatever that's about. And she's saying, well, let go of your umbrella, because I'm here to tell you that you've always had a rainbow hanging over your head. Which I think is like the most gorgeous, kind lyric. And that's what I mean when I say she should be more universally enjoyed. I know that like Rainbow has some connection, I haven't read much about it, to the LGBT community or something, and I've seen it written up in so many reviews, like, this is an LGBT song, and you're like, why? Not that that's bad, but it's like, this is for everyone. And sometimes it feels like the media is determined to say like, well, this is not for those country fans. And I listen to the lyrics on this album and I'm like, this is for everyone to enjoy. So I wish Kacey were more, were framed a little bit differently than she tends to be, because it seems like it's very uninviting to, I don't know, like the country radio crowd. And I don't think that's totally her fault. I don't think she doesn't really pick those battles very much. But Rainbow, man, what a beautiful song. Just her and kind of piano. I saw one review that called it just simple church piano, and that's a good way to put it. It's just a gorgeous, kind, I think going to be a classic lyric. There's another song in here called Mother. It's more of an interlude, where she's just sort of has this moment of crying in the middle of the night and realizing she's just like her mother. She misses her mother, and her mom misses, her grandmother. And it's just like beautiful and very raw and less produced. It kind of sounds like it might have just been a voice memo or something. I love that is just kind of thrown in here. It feels very raw and real. Love is a Wild Thing is a great song. What else? Oh What a World, I think, is really the most successful version of the kind of trippiness that they go for on this album. High Horse is a pretty fun, like, disco-y track, and I think it's an experiment. People made a whole thing, like, she's going pop now, and it's like, whatever. I mean, even High Horse is probably some of the crap that, you're seeing promoted to country radio. Even High Horse is more country than that, and also, it's not released as a country single, so who cares? I'm kind of getting over the whole genre debate of, like, is this country, is this not country? I just feel like, let the artists make what they want to make. And but I also see the angst of the country fan, including myself, and I kind of referenced this in my Sam Hunt video from last year, that, like, don't words have to mean things? Like, why do we call anything country if it can mean whatever we want it to mean? So I get why that's there, but I think this is like a pretty natural next step. It's not like Kacey went like from making traditional country to making pop. She's always made poppy, traditional-ish country folk stuff, but then it just took like a little step of like poppy or like singer-songwriter. So I'm not that concerned with it, and she doesn't get played on country radio anyway, so why would she be loyal to them? You know? Let me look at this track list really quick just to make sure I'm not leaving out anything. I do think I think Slow Burn is such a good starter. It's like sexy and beautiful and got such a pretty melody. I do think like I like Velvet Elvis and Wonder Woman and Happy and Sad, but that's to me where it felt more easy listening as an album. And just not, I just wanted some of those melodies like punched up a little bit, but Happy and Sad is quite a beautiful lyric. Golden Hour, which I feel like it is with this sun beaming down on me through the skylight, it's the title track, but it's kind of like it's kind of the one I'd cut from the whole album if I had to cut something. Just don't think it says that much. Guys, I feel real rusty on talking about an album right here. Fortunately, I already wrote my review, so maybe it's not there for me to verbally process and think out loud. But I'll link that down below. This is really just to get my feet wet and talk about music on camera again. Let me know what you think of this album. My top 3 songs: Space Cowboy #1, Rainbow #2, Mother #3. Let me know what your top 3 are in the comments down below. I'm editing this video right now and just remembered that I didn't include my old rating system that I used to do, so I would give Golden Hour 7.5 beards out of 10. I did not like it as much as Pageant Material, but that said, I think it is going to be the record that kind of sends Kacey into the mainstream because it is so accessible and sweet and cohesive. So there you go. There's my rating. I'm going to probably shoot another review and some other thoughts for some other videos later this week. Probably Ashley McBryde. That album is awesome. And so maybe you'll see me again soon. I don't know. No promises. Okay, bye.